Now, you are testifying today under a state subpoena, correct?
Correct.
And that state subpoena gives you immunity for your testimony, right?
Yes.
Can you explain to the jury, since you're an attorney, what immunity is?
Immunity is freedom from prosecution.
So that means that anything you say today can't be used against you if the state decides to arrest you later on.
The state isn't going to decide to arrest me.
Do you know if they consider you
A suspect? They don't need to tell her. She knows she's a suspect. But maybe this is one of the reasons why she hasn't been indicted yet.
One of these people, the first 100 hours you spend with her, you think she's amazing. 101 on, you're like, shit, what did I get myself into here? This person's kind of crazy.
You talk a little fast for me.
I'm sorry.
100 hours?
Yeah, first 100 hours you think she's amazing. Then after that, it's, wait a second, there's some tremendous flaws here. So she puts up a very good public face.
Let me talk to Wendi for a second. This may be the impression you think you've been leaving us with. But in reality, we're way past the 100-hour mark. This is the Wendi Jeff was talking about in those interrogation videos. If you don't mind, I'd like to go over some of your character traits I noticed, the ones that will lead to your direct involvement in your ex-husband's murder. I'm not a psychologist or a lawyer, but I do have some credibility.
And in this filing, doesn't Mr. Markel say, quote, the husband affirmatively alleges that the wife helped herself to non-marital assets, including money and stocks owned prior to marriage, as well as numerous personal non-marital belongings of the husband, such as luggage, bicycle, tennis racket, and family heirlooms. The wife has refused to return these items or to allow the husband into her home to see what other personal belongings were taken without his permission or acquiescence. So my point is, he's accusing you of theft in this paragraph.
Those are the words that are here, yes.
Well, I mean, it's obvious to us, but I'm talking to Wendi. Your entitlement is the root of this case.
Let Gibbers know that your children will be baptized in the Catholic Church. Have a picture made of them in front of the church, all that kind of thing. That's what your mom suggested at one time.
She did, yes.
That one time, she did, yes.
Your style of antagonism is pretty interesting, but I'll get into that later.
Do you need to protect you from Dan Markel?
No, I mean, I don't think I need protection.
Were you physically in danger from Dan Markel?
No, I wasn't in danger.
Being safe physically would be considered a good thing, but for you it wasn't.
For dissolution of marriage in August 2012, the husband continues to characterize this as abandonment, and then it goes on to say that he had been disparaging you to some of the folks at the law school. Do you remember reading that?
I do.
Was that intended to be the place in this binder where you allege emotional abuse by your husband?
I mean, I think it's emotionally abusive to suggest somebody has mental health issues.
So you were emotionally abused just from Dan suggesting you had a mental illness?
Who's Gibbers?
Gibbers, she's referring to Danny.
And was Gibbers a name he went by, or just something you called him behind his back?
Gibbers was a silly nickname that I gave him during the divorce proceedings when he was being pretty scary and threatening. And it kind of made me feel less scared of him.
Scary and threatening. What was he threatening to do that made you scared? Okay, so what do we have? Your entitlement, you being physically safe, claims of emotional abuse, and you feeling scared and threatened. Your type of entitlement, I mean, Wendi, you took this man's tennis racket. Everything else would look very weak in court. But if you use antagonism to provoke a physical reaction from Dan, making the environment unsafe because he's now physically abusing you, that would make scary and threatening believable, substantiating your case for relocation because your entitlement would be masked with prioritizing you and your children's well-being.